Teachers bracing for leave fair dramas. Porgera landowners suing state. And local fashion designer showcases tableware.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Friday's news. With the academic year ending today, the focus for teachers now will be to follow up with their leave fares. The leave fares issue is an ongoing one. Provincial education advisors say this is partly due to misleading information from provincial treasury departments. The advisors are currently in Port Moresby attending a consultative meeting with the Teaching Service Commission, the Department of Personnel Management, as well as the Departments of Finance and Treasury to address teachers' management issues.
Yesterday, the Teaching Service Commission announced that 29 million K9 teachers' leave fares was remitted to the provinces since September. Government accounts are set to close next week and most teachers are yet to receive their leave fares. Provincial education advisors have recently discovered through the consultative meeting some reasons for this ongoing issue.
We are receiving from the provinces in terms of the remittance to our provincial treasury office. It's very much contradicting to the printout that we received this morning. For instance, Melon Bay will receive 333,000 from the 1 million kina. But this morning I realized that 1 million kina has been released.
Meanwhile, TSC Chairman Baron Sori says the responsibility now lies with provincial treasuries to make sure teachers are paid their leave fares. Among some calls made by PEAs was for a separate account for teachers' leave fares.
Provincial administration does not tell the provincial education advisor that the teachers' leave fares have been in the province. And some provincial education advisors, they admitted that they don't get a favorable answer from the provincial administration. Now, from our discussion in our meeting from the Highlands region, we passed a resolution that teachers' leave fares should be given back to Teaching Service Commission.
They have also called for a yearly increase in leave fares to meet the increased numbers of teachers every year. The consultative meeting is held annually to raise concerns on teachers' emoluments, salaries and other pressing issues. Concerns apart from leave fares were of pay cards, backdated pay and teacher-to-student ratio.
The positive outcomes will be definitely, the issues have been raised and we've made notes. The positive outcomes will be that we will see how we can control teacher appointments, right? So that what is being paid is not outside of those who are not teaching.
Issues raised have been noted with recommendations to be presented to the Education Minister. The consultative meeting started on Wednesday and ends today. Charlene Airy, National EMTV News.
There was a commotion at around midday today at FinCorp House in Waigani, which saw the arrests of some teachers and their relatives. According to eyewitnesses, a fight broke out between a security guard and the father of a teacher after they were not allowed into the office. The reason being teachers were supposed to be in school to end the schooling year. The fight worsened when frustrated teachers waiting outside joined in and chased the guards around the vicinity of FinCorp House. There were no major casualties, with only a guard receiving minor injuries. Education officers at the scene refused to comment but appealed to teachers to return on Monday to do their follow-ups, as today was the closing of the academic year. It is understood that there is currently an ongoing investigation at the salary section of the Education Department regarding the death of late Grace Gavera and her boyfriend. Some teachers raised concerns that it is now a norm for workers to expect money before attending to their concerns. A lawsuit has been filed against the state by landowners of the special mining lease area of Porgera. This matter is to go before a United Nations system of arbitration known as UNCITRAL. Through the Justice Foundation of Porgera, these landowners are claiming damages to the tune of around 42 billion kina. They are hopeful their matter can be settled before the Porgera special mining lease expires in May 2019.
In 1989, the Porgera mining agreement was signed between developer Barrick Gold, the Anga provincial government, and landowners. Initially, when the signing took place, the people were promised that there were going to be major infrastructure and developments in Porgera. According to Chairman of Justice Foundation for Porgera, Jonathan Paria, promises within the agreement have not been delivered. He claims there is still a lack of proper health and education services, with some schools forced to close down. This, he says, despite the agreement signed in good faith.
We signed the agreement in good faith, but the opposite has happened. And over the last 29 to 30 years, our people have suffered.
Paria says under the agreement, if there was any form of breach of agreement, such damages and claims, if not addressed, had to go through an arbitration process. In 2013, 14 clans with the provincial government submitted a deposition statement, but the Attorney General's response was not accepted by the people of Porgera. After several more attempts, these landowners now have taken the step of serving the notice of dispute and have nominated an arbitrator.
Now, government, we put you on notice that clock is starting to click. On the date and time, we served a notice for arbitration to the Minister for Mining and copy to the Attorney General and the Minister for Justice.
Counsel and advisor Andrew Costopoulou said the dispute is a domestic issue involving the people of Porgera suing the government of PNG for breach of contract, breach of duty of care owed to the people of Porgera for damages including injury, loss and harm caused by the operations of Porgera Gold Mine by Barrick New Guinea Limited for over 29 years.
The more significant matter, however, is that it is a geopolitical pathogen that occurs when multinationals like Barrick enter into other countries in the pursuit of mega profits from the minerals and resources owned by the peoples of a foreign nation, including the landowners of Porgera and the true custodians of their ancestral lands for over 40,000 years.
Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
Police in Alotau burnt more than 12 houses yesterday evening after they accused members of the settlement community of harboring criminals involved in an armed robbery hours earlier. Residents at the Kitava compound were forced out of their homes, questioned, and then their homes set on fire. One resident who didn't want to be named told EMTV that women and children who were in their homes were told to get out at gunpoint. EMTV is yet to confirm reports that an elderly woman was shot and killed in the attack. Hours before the police attack, a local business was robbed by a group of criminals. Eyewitnesses said a vehicle was also stolen during the robbery and the criminals used it to escape. EMTV has also received details from eyewitnesses who believe the criminals escaped through the Kitava compound to draw police off their trail. Meanwhile, East New Britain Police Boss Senior Inspector Joseph Tabali said the province has a backlog of law and order issues to sort out before the year ends. These include recapturing escapees from West New Britain Province who have been hiding in the province. PPC Tabali says this and others will be included in the police festive season operation that will begin next weekend.
This festive season police operation in East New Britain Province won't be different to previous years, says the head of the police in the province, but he says they have a huge task to do. The PPC says they will sweep through various known locations in the province in search for escapees who have been living in the province since breaking out from the Lakemata prison in West New Britain Province early this year.
We've got intel that some of these escapees they are in East New Britain Province. So during this operation, we'll be, acting on the information that we got. We will be targeting those areas where the escapees are.
PPC Tabali says his men are also hoping to attend to an outstanding list of bench warrants for court cases before the year ends.
The officers, my men, will be executing this outstanding bench warrant from the National Court in Kokopo.
Like in previous years, what stood out from festive police operations have been the random roadblocks.
We'll be conducting random roadblock on every strategic location.
In 2017, during festive operations, the police collected a revenue amounting to over 100,000 kina from random roadblocks alone. Most of the revenue collected came from unregistered motor vehicles, drink driving and other breaches of traffic rules. The police boss anticipated a peaceful festive season this year in the province, but he says his men will be keeping an eye out for those who step out of law this Christmas. Edwin Fidelis, National MTV News, Kokopo.
The Lae City Council Health Division has ordered the Labu Canoe Landing area, known as Igris Market, to close on Tuesday for an indefinite period due to no toilet facility and garbage system since its establishment in 2012. The Health Inspector Paul Wiwi said the closure will help authorities to set up a proper market. The market serves people from 5 districts in Morbe, as well as Milne and Oro provinces.
This is what happened when we arrived at the Labu Canoe Landing area, commonly known as Igris Market at Lae's Tidal Basin. The Lae City Council Health Division has ordered the closing of the market because there was no toilet facility and proper garbage disposal areas since the market's establishment in 2012. The LLC Health Inspector Paul Wiwi says the market will be closed until the market authority meets the requirements.
You look at them, all market antablo. Rubbish stop. Lo nambis ikam out lo one mapa o cook longem na oli salim kai lo em na tu oli kokam lo you look em ogda rubbish.
This used to be the traditional canoe landing area for the people of Labu in Huon Gulf district. It serves the people of Tewaisiasi, Lae, Huon Gulf, Nawai and Finchafen districts and also from Milne Bay and Oro provinces. People come to this market to sell cooked food, buai and other small goods.
So inside Lodila market I'm still continue me play building na kam. Which is inside Lodila 7 black Christmas. No ka 1 black authority looks away lo me bla.
A buai buyer and seller from Oro province who's based in Lae said buai is the only cash crop sold out of the province.
Even Whitebeck come with 60 boats, 70 boats, 50 kina each boat, and wasted money now. Okay, now boat blow me, now on the way, and by come inside. Now me wasting more than 1,000. 5,000-6,000. No market pass. Buy me kissing where now.
He said the market authority should quickly sort out the issue. Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Lae.
This morning, members of the National Crime Investigation Unit and Customs officers intercepted 27 boxes of firecrackers and a box of fireworks at a seaport in Lae. The shipment was being sent from Vanimo to Kimbe when police were alerted. Assistant Commissioner Police for Northern Region Peter Guinness said although this may not seem like a big problem, the use of such items by the general public is dangerous. He commended the efforts of both police and customs officers for the search. Lae Metropolitan Commander Anthony Wagambi Jr. is urging the general public not to use these prohibited items during the festive period.
So they got to be very careful in how they go about in handling these kind of things. It is prohibited in this in Papua New Guinea, and it shouldn't be. They shouldn't be using them. They shouldn't be using them at all.
Because last weekend when there was a clash between people living in the settlements over 2 Mile, when police were attending, they were fired upon with by these people with fireworks. They use these fireworks to shoot at police. So people are starting to use them as weapons as well. And that's very, very dangerous. Once you fire them.
This is National MTV News. We take our first break now, but stay tuned. We'll have more of today's other stories when we come back. Welcome back to the news. The body of late Lady Hena Dada, wife of Governor General of Papua New Guinea Grand Chief Sir Bob Dada, arrived today in Port Moresby from Brisbane, Australia. Late Lady Hena Dada passed away from a short illness on Tuesday, 4th of December, whilst receiving medical treatment in Australia in the last 3 months. The casket was escorted by Sir Bob Dada and immediate family members and welcomed by governmental heads and members of the public who also turned up at the ceremonial car park. Upon its arrival, the casket was received by the Lutheran Church clergy with prayers and hymns offered by the Mari Mari Lutheran Church Women's Fellowship Group. The casket left afterwards for Erima Funeral Home, then to Government House for viewing. Her body will remain at funeral home for the rest of the weekend till the funeral service next Monday at the Mari Mari Lutheran Church at Condolences in Port Moresby. The PNG Tribal Foundation launched the Senisim Pasin corporate training program this week. This program focuses on addressing gender-based violence at the corporate level. Corporate houses such as PNG Power are expected to attend.
PNG Tribal Foundation is a non-government organization and a humanitarian organization that works to address issues affecting the society. One of the issues that PNG Tribal Foundation has been working continuously to address is gender-based violence. This week, they launched the Senisim Pasin corporate training program to address gender-based violence through training and awareness.
None of the women that we have helped, over 150 cases, have been actually trying to practice sorcery. So they were all falsely accused. So people say, oh, it must sanguma. No, these people are not sanguma. They are just vulnerable people.
Senisim Pasin is a cultural changing campaign centered on a film made by the PNG Tribal Foundation to change thinking and cultural attitudes about the value of women in Papua New Guinea. This campaign is aimed to men and women of all ages in order to reduce the incidence of violence against women. Also, this program is to help in gender appreciation, where men and women learn to balance issues and work together.
When we talk about gender appreciation, it's actually a positive term. Because what gender appreciation basically does is that it highlights the value of the genders.
Over the last 4 years, PNG Tribal Foundation has spent over $1 million kina in developing this program. They have developed a workbook and a training book for the program that will be used by corporations and their employees in the Senisim Pasin campaign. Patricia Camo, National EMTV News.
Marking the 20th day of the 21 days of human rights activism, the Kaugere, Sabama and Kila communities in the National Capital District took a stand to find solutions to prevent violence against women. In a community event yesterday, the representatives from these communities signed a partnership certificate with Population Services International to address problems in their communities by using the SASA program.
Kaugere Sabama and Kila communities pledged today to work with Population Services International and other stakeholders to find solutions to address violence-related problems faced in their communities. One community chairman says Kaugere sees violence every day. He said that this violence is not just violence against women, but all different forms of violence. And with the SASA program, he hopes to see a change.
Leaders want to do one time, work one time, and then schooling the community so that making really change the life of one person.
We need to change.
A female councillor called on the Kaugere community to change by having respect for each other.
We need to change and stay a new living, to respect one another, respect for women and girls within the community. And not only women and girls, even the youths, men, women must respect men also.
Interested community members signed up as community activists. They will be trained by PSI on how to address violence in their communities and know where the victims of violence can get help.
Animal trainings or activities will come up. Big activities will come up in the community. Now people are looking one of the importance for SASA, how you can take it on.
continue changing life for each individual inside the community, ending violence against women and girls, and HIV.
Michelle Awamoromoro, National EMTV News.
The Public Solicitor's Office in Port Moresby yesterday gave a dummy cheque payment of 1.5 million kina to YFIG Real Estate to build 5 houses for their staff.
Families of 5 staff from the Office of the Public Solicitor will soon have a place to call home, with the Public Solicitor signing up to a housing scheme at Kennedy Estate through YFIG Real Estate and Developers.
While you are working now with the department, you need to make sure that you secure a house for yourself and your family, because the check presentation now is basically for institutional house.
Long also said in these times, owning a house is something more Papua New Guineans are aiming towards, and is urging other government departments to follow the lead taken by the Public Solicitor's Office.
The number of houses, I want to get as many houses for my lawyers and staff, because most of my lawyers live in settlements.
Mr. Mamu and 2 of his deputies were on hand to present the project deposit to YFIG Real Estate Managing Director Benson Teo. Mr. Mamu thanked the national government for allowing his department to go ahead with the housing scheme project, while urging other departments to do the same for their staff.
Really, the housing allowance that each public servant gets is a lousy amount of money. We all know the rate of rents in the city, and so government must seriously look at engaging in projects like what Kennedy Estate and the YFIG has engaged in to secure land and build houses for public servants.
Tamara Pia Agavi, National EMTV News.
Talented local fashion designer Tabu Warupi showcased her line of clothing to interested buyers last night. This follows her debut in October at the Pacific Runway in Sydney, Australia's most prestigious platform for Pacific or origin designers. Last night's event was designed to give Port Moresby audiences an opportunity to view and order specific pieces from the collection.
A total of 14 different Tabu design brand collections were showcased last night. From Porea village in the Central Province, the local PNG designer Tabu Warupi says a collection of the Tabu brand designs was inspired from rich traditions and culture of the people of Papua New Guinea. Tabu has been designing clothing for men and women for over 3 years. The collection on show last night, however, was inspired by the humble sea urchin.
Most of my inspirations are derived from the coastline, from the oceans. You know, I come from a village called Boira, so I draw a lot of inspiration from there. Just a lot of marine life and just anything basically.
All Tabu designs are hand printed. Tabu Designs collection was first shown in October at Pacific Runway 2018 in Sydney, which received a standing ovation from the audiences. Excited Miss Warupi said that this was the first of its kind for Tabu Design collection to actually run its own runway collection show.
This year I just concentrated on Project Runway and the Sydney show, which is Pacific Runway, which was a platform where I officially launched my label internationally.
When acknowledging a family, friends and community of Porea village, she says the show would not have been possible and successful without their love and support.
You know, I'm very, very lucky and grateful to have a good support system of family and friends who always just jump in and, you know, help whenever we can. But yeah, it's all just self-sponsored, and you know, if we like for our Sydney trip, we did our own fundraisings and that. So it's all just family, with the help of family and friends.
Amanda Rimur, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues with more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. The Brian Bell Group of companies, in partnership with the Sir Brian Bell Foundation, launched their Wish Tree program yesterday in Port Moresby. The program will help to raise much-needed funds for various charity organisations in Papua New Guinea.
With just a few days short of Christmas, this nationwide program is set to support charity organizations in the country. The program was initiated in 2017 and raised over 140,000 kina, with 180,000 kina also being donated last year to add to the proceeds of the program.
And this program is a very important program to both the Sir Brian Bell Foundation and the Brian Bell Group of companies. We launched it last year, which was our inaugural year, and essentially it helps us raise money for much needed charities around the country.
This Christmas, the target for the program is set to raise 180,000 kina, with additional contributions from the Sir Brian Bell Foundation towards each chosen charity organisation, totaling to a cost of 20,000 kina.
This year we're going to be supporting another 7 charities. So again, our team members have been heavily involved in making sure that they've reached out to their communities and have picked a charity that over Christmas will need some support.
Sir Brian Bell Foundation CEO Bronwyn Wright confirms that 7 charities will be receiving funds from the program proceeds. And this year, another 7 charity organisations have also been selected.
Millie PNG, Mount Hagen will be Links of Hope, Madang is Modilon Hospital, Goroka, Mount Zion Centre for the Blind, Kokopo is Coop House, and in Kimbe there's Dental Clinic at the Kimbe General Hospital.
The Wish Tree program requires customers to purchase a 2 kina Rudolph Nose Christmas wish card in any Brian Bell home centres nationwide.
One of these Rudolph noses will set anyone back 2 kina. They get the opportunity to then purchase it at the checkout, write a beautiful Christmas wish on it, and then come and place it on the tree themselves.
Sir Brian Bell Foundation has assured the customers that 100% of the donations towards the Wish Tree program will go to the selected charities in the country. Elizabeth Guka, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, tens of thousands of police are being deployed around France as anti-government revolt fires on again in Paris. The government is mobilizing armored vehicles. It's the first time they've been used in the capital for decades.
Fire and fury far from over. Students again clashing with police, destroying property and blockading schools. They're angry over educational reforms they say favour the rich. France's wave of protests began over fuel tax rises. The government scrapped them, but the issue ignited a simmering rage over the cost of living and low wages.
They must stop making poor people poorer and rich people richer.
Thomas Desmarais, a former soldier, is one of the thousands heading to Paris for a 4th weekend of action.
I will stay involved until President Macron leaves. I won't stop my actions. I'm ready to do anything.
Across France, 89,000 security forces are being deployed. In Paris, officials are preparing for a hardcore of violent protesters with police and military resources.
We will use a dozen armoured vehicles. It is truly an exceptional mobilisation.
That hasn't happened since 1968, when similar protests gripped the nation. Paris is going into lockdown, shutting shops, museums, even the Eiffel Tower. The anger of the Yellow Vest movement is directed at President Emmanuel Macron. They're shouting, "President of the rich," and resign. Demonstrators say the former investment banker favours the wealthy, and they're calling for higher wages and lower taxes for the working class.
Put these taxes on rich people. That would be great.
France's history is rich with revolution. These protesters want to write a new chapter.
China has reacted angrily after a top official at Chinese telecom giant Huawei was detained in Canada. The US, which ordered Meng Wanzhou's arrest, has yet to clarify exactly why it did so, and at a time of huge strain when China-US relations is turning into a major diplomatic incident.
Meng Wanzhou is the daughter of Huawei's founder Ren Zhengfei, who has ties to the Communist Party. In short, she is a member of China's elite, but tonight she's in Canadian custody. China, furious, insisting she's done nothing wrong and calling her detention a possible abuse of human rights.
China opposes any country imposing unilateral sanctions on others outside the framework of the UN Security Council.
It's still unclear what charges the 46-year-old is facing, but the US is currently investigating whether Huawei sold American-made products to Iran, breaking current sanctions. When the US learned she was flying through Canada, they decided to swoop, the nation's leader appearing eager to stay out of it.
The appropriate authorities took the decisions in this case without any political involvement or interference.
Meng Wanzhou now faces extradition to the US. President Donald Trump's national security advisor has admitted he was briefed, but it's not clear if the president was told before he formed a trade truce with the Chinese president in Brazil. Meng's capture comes at a turbulent time for US-China relations. US stocks taking a huge tumble today, China now threatening to retaliate.
If the relevant party has any evidence, I hope they can provide it to China. We'll launch an investigation. We oppose unwarranted accusations on cybersecurity issues.
Huawei is the third largest mobile phone maker in the world, but it's facing increasing scrutiny over security. Last week, New Zealand followed the US and Australia in banning the company's equipment from its next-generation mobile networks. This latest development further damaging its reputation. Meng Wanzhou will face a bail hearing tomorrow.
We go for a break now, but stay tuned for Chukai Sports coming up after these messages.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back. Welcome to Chukai Sports, rather. The FIBA Under-15 Oceania Championship completed its final round today, with the finals to be played tomorrow. Australia and New Zealand still lead the competition and are likely to play the finals, while Samoa will play Guam for third place after urging out Fiji today. 6 countries took part in the championship, including PNG, who is currently sitting at the bottom.
The FIBA Under-15 Oceania Championship is winding down, and the 6 participating countries will be awarded tomorrow according to their placing. PNG Basketball Federation President said that the results from the games show that New Zealand and Australia are more likely to be in the top placing.
Tomorrow is the final day of competition, and we will see the medal playoffs tomorrow. That will start with the bronze in the girls and of course the boys, and I think the final gold medal playoff for the boys team will be at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Now at this stage it is definitely and highly likely that New Zealand will take out Australia in the gold medal playoffs for both the boys and the girls.
FIBA Under-15 Oceania Championship is for under-15 boys and girls from Oceania, and it is the first of its kind. Mr. Daroa said that this championship has brought a lot of excitement.
It has been a good experience, a good also learning curve for those of us that are running this competition, because this is the first Under-15 FIBA tournament that has been held. So PNG Basketball is very privileged and honored to be given the hosting rights to host these games, and we are definitely looking forward to learning as much as we can to better ourselves for the upcoming games later on in the future.
Michelle Awamoromoro, National EMTV Sports.
Guam beat Fiji in a tough encounter today. They'll play Samoa for third placing tomorrow.
The fight for the third placing saw Guam in a much better position when just under 1 minute Guam started with a blistering 3-pointer. It was all Guam in the first quarter with 24 points, leaving Fiji on 8 points. Guam adding 22 points to the score, while Fiji slowly making their way back in the second quarter, leaving the scores 46 points to 16. Fiji looking for a comeback in the third quarter. Unfortunately, Guam's defense helped dominate the game, with Fiji trailing behind on 35 points and Guam 68 points. In the fourth quarter, Guam showed much strength, winning the game 79 points to 51. Porivai, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues with more after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. After this year's NRL Grand Final, League star Joseph Manu made a promise to his tiny town of Tokoroa. Today, the Sydney Rooster delivered on that, bringing the competition's most prized possession 2.5 kilometres from Bondi to South Waikato.
For Joseph Manu, 2018 has definitely been a year to remember. An NRL premiership with the Roosters, then an international debut with the Kiwis. Today he went back to where it all began. And while the boy has been taken out of Tokoroa recently, you'll never take Tokoroa out of him.
Coming back now, looking over this place, this is my home. It means a lot to me.
Reflecting with Dad on a journey that definitely had humble beginnings.
Got my mallet here.
Check the water. At just 22, Manu's achieved more than many do in their entire career.
Get it after the game, and it's pretty cool. I sort of always wanted one of these.
Ticking off one of the goals he wrote in his diary before the season even started. The only thing left on the list was to get the actual NRL trophy flown to Tokoroa. It's never been done before, but this afternoon that dream became a reality. A Roosters staff member needing to book 2 seats to cover the excess baggage for the 38-kilo trophy.
We had backing from our chairman, Nick Politis, and some key support staff, and it was basically put on me when the boys approached me and asked, is it possible to try and get it across to Tokoroa?
The prize won by so many of the game's greats will spend tonight in the lounge, before going to tomorrow's Christmas parade in town as an example of what kids here can achieve.
It's known for being rough and it gets a lot of bad raps. I just wanted to make everyone happy here. We didn't really get much people come down to our sports stars and that come down to us.
Having a star of their own means much more anyway, especially one that's this dedicated to sharing his success with the ones that got him here.
The hopes of a round of the Formula E circuit going to New Zealand appear over, while the local and central government are still open to pushing for a round. New Zealand's most promising driver is warning they could miss out altogether.
Mitch Evans dreams to drive in front of his family and friends.
When I was approached with the idea and the prospect of it potentially going to New Zealand, I was almost a bit emotional because, coming from New Zealand, it's quite unrealistic once you start racing on the global stage, and now we've got that opportunity.
But that opportunity appears on hold. An Auckland consortium bidding to bring a round of the Formula E circuit to the City of Sails for 5 years from next year needs $14 million of government funding in the next 3 weeks to get the green light, but both ATEED and the government want to carry out a feasibility study first.
We should be able to make pretty strong headway in the early part of next year, but unfortunately that means that we can basically rule out any event taking place here in 2019.
ATEED though is positive about Auckland hosting a round from 2020. The consortium and Evans say that's too late.
It's very critical that if the government does want to go ahead, we do it now. We can't wait 12 months because that opportunity may not be there.
While the circuit has been successful in many centres around the world, Montreal pulled the plug on its hosting this year due to ongoing costs to the taxpayer. Government agencies mindful of that.
We just need to be able to undertake our process and first of all determine whether the event's viable, what level of investment might be appropriate, and what returns we can expect to see from hosting the event here.
A Kiwi driver's dream on hold, hoping it doesn't get the red light before it's even begun.
And that story wraps up Trukai Sports for tonight. Stay tuned for weather details coming up next.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast in the southern region, mostly fine in Port Moresby, Daru, Kirima, Alotau and a shower or two in Popondita. In the Mumasi region, showers in Lei, Wau and Wewak, showers and thunderstorms in Medang and partly cloudy in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, partly cloudy in Lorengau, Kavieng and Kimbe. In Kokopo-Rabaul, Buka, a shower or two can be expected. In Mount Hagen, Goroka and Kondiawa, showers. Mendi and Wabeg can only expect a shower or two.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the news, sport and weather for today, Friday, December 7th, 2018. On behalf of the entire EMTV news team right around the country, good night.